little bit of crafting. I am coming to you on Sunday, July 13th at 11:38 p.m. So not quite midnight, but that's why I'm Late Night Lori, because it's late. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you from Wisconsin. So give me just a second here to pull up my tablet. In case anybody joins me live, I can try to watch for comments and interact. So I received this in the shipment that I got while I was at the Great Lakes Demonstrator event in Appleton on Friday. So of course stuff gets delivered when I'm not home. So anyway, I almost missed this. One of the women on my team called me with a question about it, obviously, a couple of weeks ago. And I had looked it up and saw it was on the last chance list, but that it was still available. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is really cute. So it's got basil and rosemary, mint and thyme. Grown with love is a little sentiment here. You're on my mind. From the garden of, with a line, so you could put your name. Thanks so much for your love and care. And then this nice like hand-penned border for this label die. Okay. So this can make very cute cards. I'm sure there's a sample of one through the online store that I will try to make maybe tomorrow. But I thought I would do this little envelope. So this die here cuts out. I used just a 6x6 sheet of paper and just had a little bit of scrap around here because this die is, let's just see here. It's just over 5 1/4, but not quite 5 1/2 inches. And then as far as width, let me move some of these stamps because I had to mount them before I came online. And it's about the same. So it's about probably 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. So I just used a 6x6 piece of designer series paper. And this is new paper that I just got. That also came with a sticker sheet that I ordered. Weekend Adventures. I think that's the name of the designer series paper too. Yeah, Weekend Adventures. So there's a plaid, there's some trees, there's kind of a hiking compass motif. You get 4 sheets of 3 designs for your 12 sheets. And then the back sides are a little more subdued. Okay. And then the sticker sheet would be great if you're going to be doing any memory keeping or even to use on a card. We'll see what I do with it. Let me get a quickie little throat lozenge here. I obviously don't talk that much, contrary to what my husband might think. But every time I come online, my throat gets dry and I kind of start to cough. So my apologies for that. So I cut this out ahead of time just to hopefully save a little time. And basically, these will get folded in. This gets folded up. And it makes this cute little envelope. So this would be great for a gift card. Obviously, it'll fit in there. But I also thought a cute little tea would fit in here. Now, I did have to fold it a little bit, but I'm not folding the tea bag. I can feel it in here. So I'm just folding over the envelope that it comes in. So I figured that would be kind of cute in here. And then I'll put my little mint that I have on here. So I'm going to put mint on a label. And we're going to do this as like a little gift. I might do it for like a team meeting or something. All right. Let me kind of get these out of the way a little bit. I am going to use this die and the mint die. So I will go ahead and put those on my little magnet over here. I've got quite a mess going on here. I wasn't sure at first what stamps I was going to use. That's why they're kind of all over. But if you've stamped with me before, you know I'm a messy stamper. The other thing I did was, to give this a little contrast, I thought maybe having, maybe having a different colored envelope flap would be fun. And then this will go here, and this will go here, and then you'll put some twine through that, linen thread or twine, to tie it off. So let's experiment. Let's see how this is going to go. Here's the die for those little pieces, so you get to cut two at the same time, which is nice for such a small piece. All right. So let's go ahead and get our image stamped. I'm going to do the mint in Mossy Meadow. I think my Mossy Meadow might need to be re-inked. There we go. We'll see how much of a mess it is. Usually I just do a light tap, 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 and that's good enough. But, oh, that's good. That's good. And then we're going to do, oh, why not your thanks for your love and care. Why not? And I'm going to do that in early espresso to match that envelope flap. Looks like I got a piece of debris on here. So who else has gone through a catalog or scrolled through the online store and thought you found everything that interested you, and then later found out that there's something more you want? I'm trying to decide what I want to do here, if that's going to fit in this. It might not, because I thought this was kind of cute too. We're just playing around. We'll see how it goes. That'll work, I guess. That's right in there. And then, whoops, I guess I didn't really want that separate. I could just stamp that right on my little label here. Maybe stamp it off. I probably wouldn't need to, because I really need to be re-inked. Ah, the mint didn't come out. All right, well, let's try this again. We'll ink it up a little bit more. We'll get that going. That's better. Let's do this part again. Let that sit and soak in a little bit. That turned out better this time anyway. And then here, maybe I should do this on a separate, because I think if I put it here, I don't want to mess it up, because it worked out pretty good. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. Well, sometimes it just takes creativity a couple tries, right? So let's do this again. Oh, I didn't want that in early espresso, but that is really pretty. Maybe I should just go with that and put some Mossy Meadow ink to that. We'll see. It does look quite striking. This has got to be a distinctive stamp, because there's a lot of detail in there. Hopefully you can see all of the detail in those leaves. Hopefully this is in focus, but they're very detailed. Okay. So I need to decide what I want to do here. I'm going to wash these off. And we are going to get this one washed off also. All right. That was really good practice, right? We'll stamp it off. And we'll stamp it here. That looks good. Now, I closed up that one. I'm going to try this again with the early espresso. I think I'm going to try to move it up a little bit. Hopefully I didn't wiggle. And I try not to necessarily press hard, just even, and then give it a few seconds for the ink to soak in. All right, so that looks okay. And then one more time with the sentiment. Now that this is stamped off, maybe it'll show up a little bit better. So that side's going to be down just a little bit. Phew, that works for me. So 3 or 4 times the charm, I guess. All right, let's put these inks away so I don't get ink everywhere. And I am just cleaning them quickly on my chamois. I can always run them underwater later and any residual ink will come off. I see a little bit along there, but it'll be fine. All right. Let me just get this little bit of ink off because I know if I leave it, I'm probably going to brush into it and then I'm going to have ink everywhere. So let's go ahead. I'm not going to need the dye for the mint. I'm just going to need the dye for this. All right. This is just really a pretty stamp set. Very detailed. And then with the dies that cut out that little gift card envelope or tea bag envelope as the case may be, I think it'll be really cute. So let me get out my little bossy Bessie here. I think the challenge, aside from having a difficult time stamping today, I think the challenge will be getting the holes in where I want them to be for the string. So we'll just see how that goes. Now I've got my base plate, which is 1. I've got my shim plate, which is 2. I've got a cutting plate 3 that I'm going to have in a little bit, and then cutting plate 3 with the dies in between those and the paper, and we'll run this through. It should run pretty smooth like this if you have your sandwich set up correctly. Okay, get that out of the way. All right, let's take a look here. So I was trying to plan this a little bit ahead of time. And, you know, I got some of the pieces cut out, but I did not do a prototype, which kind of seems to be my MO lately. And this, I have a little crooked. So I think all I'm going to do is trim a little bit on this side. We'll just trim a little bit off of here and it will be fine. If you line it up correctly, you shouldn't have to do that. But whoever I give this to is not going to realize that I initially cut it a little bit crooked because it's all going to be pretty even around here. It'll look nice. But sometimes that happens and sometimes we fix it rather than stamping it a 5th time, right? All right. And I could still, I don't think I'll use this one because I'm not real keen on that. But I could still use this one and die cut it and maybe add some blending brush color there. So I'm going to hang on to that one because that might be worth working with. All right. So let's figure this out. So if I put this here, and I just cut this using the die on a piece of early espresso, all right? And then the extra I just trimmed off so that I would have a piece the same as this, all right? So let's go ahead and glue this on. Now when I glue flaps on my envelopes, whether they're mailing envelopes or something like this, I put the glue on the flap, not on the piece that's getting attached, because the flap is the actual size. So when I do it like on a mailing envelope, I trim off the extra. And I don't want glue on that side, right? So I always put the glue on the flap. And then if it's a bigger piece, I can trim around the edge. Okay? But this, I think we're just gonna leave it as is. That should be fine. Okay. And then these are gonna come in like this. And that'll come up there. So I'm going to just put some glue on this edge. And not a whole lot, because if I put too much glue, it's just going to ooze out. So I think what I might want to do is put this in here. And then I can press down and it'll be sized for my little tea bag in there. Okay. Cool. I could use tear and tape, but I seem to have better luck with glue, the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. So if you use enough glue that it's oozing out and your fingers are getting all messy, you're using too much glue. Okay? You really just need ... not a lot. All right, so a little bit of glue goes a long way. And if you do get a little bit of ooze out, you can either just rub it off, like with a tissue, or if you have a little adhesive eraser. I got this at probably a craft store or at our $1.25 store. All right, so there's that. That can fit in there. Let's put this up here. And then this, I almost wonder if I should cut that out of the designer series paper. That might be cute. And we could mount it onto the brown one for a little more stability. Let's move this here. And we could actually even put this, so it was gonna go here, but I might want to tie it on here and just have it as a flat tag. So let's see. So if we do this through my little Betsy here, here we just need a base plate, a cutting plate, the item that's going to be cut, and another cutting plate. Run that through. All right, one of these I won't need, so I wasn't real careful how I lined it up. I just want one full one, and this one will just be garbage. All right, so let's get this put away. And then let's glue. Let me get my tweezers, because that's a really small piece. In fact, I think I'm going to glue it. It probably won't matter. I was going to glue the wrong sides together. But it won't matter anyway once I put it on here. So let's put a little glue on this side. going to put that center-ish. Shifted-ish. There. That's a nice thing about the liquid glue is you do have just a little bit of time with a little bit of wiggle room. All right, and then this piece, I need to get my Pearson mat. And I am just going to poke a little hole in here. So there's that hole. All right, and then let me get a piece of, I think we'll use the, what's probably crumb cake. I'll just cut a length off of here. And unfortunately, the Stampin' Up! Snips are no longer going to be available. They had been, I think, unorderable. I'm not sure if they got more in stock, but Stampin' Up! Found out that the company that makes these is no longer going to make them. So snips will no longer be available until they can find a new manufacturer for those. So that's kind of a sad thing here. And then I'm going to use, I'll move my little thumbs up guy here. I'm going to use, this is a sewing threader. So it's just got a wire here. And I'm going to put that through here and cheat. Those are so handy. All right. And then for this side, we're going to glue this here. And again, let me get my tweezers because it is such a small piece. I'm going to add a little glue. I apologize if I was going off camera there. All right, and then I am going to put a couple thicknesses, I think, of cardstock here and see. I'm afraid that's going to go through. Let's put something thicker. We'll put a few more labels because I want to make sure I go through this. And I suppose if I would have planned ahead to where this was going to line up, I could have perhaps used the die more to my advantage, but this is working. Just going like that. And then we'll put our little tea bag in here. And then we need to fish this through. So let's see how this works. This might be a struggle, I'm not sure. I'm going to feed that through and hopefully get that through if you can see that. Hot diggity. Very cool. Okay, so then I think the only other thing I need to do is decide how I want to put my tag. If I try to put the tag here, it's going to cover everything. So I think I will put that on here. And we'll just tie this in a cute little bow. And I like mint tea. I could have probably tried to tie that a little bit tighter. I'll try it again later before I trim anything. And then this, let's put this up on dimensionals. Give it a little lift. And then I think it'd be done with this one. Then I'm going to put that canted just a little bit there. And I got to save my needle threader because I'm going to need that again. All right. And that's it. That is our little tea bag holder with the Grow with Love stamps and dies. How cute is that? All right, so when we open this up, they can get the tea out by just moving that string. And like I said earlier, I just have to fold that. Now I didn't fold the tea bag. I can feel where that was. And we'll just put that inside. But I think this was really kind of probably designed for a gift card, which would fit very nicely in there. I'm pretty positive. So let's try tying this bow again and see if I can get it any tighter. Nope. I need to get my reverse tweezers in here, I think, to give me an extra finger. If I can find my reverse tweezers. There they are. All right. That should help. Maybe. I feel like I'm just learning how to tie. That's better than the first one anyway. And this would make just a very fun little table gift. Like for my team meeting or at a little retreat. And there. Very cute, I think, anyway. Very cute. So the envelope was really easy with these dies. These are still available. They are on the last chance list. They are marked down. Probably not a whole lot. I think it was actually less expensive to get them individually than to get them as a bundle. I think it was like a quarter cheaper to buy them individually. So do the math. If you're going to order them, do the math to figure out the best price. And go from there. So let me just put this away. Oh, sideways. And we'll be good to go. I like to try to clean up some of my stuff as I go so it doesn't look like I'm totally disorganized. So there. All right. Get that, all the debris out of the way. How's that? So thanks for popping in. If you like this, this may be your last chance to get these products. So the Grow with Love, I did put the numbers down in the description. I appreciate if you like this video, if you give me a like, share the video. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel. If you get notifications, you'll find out when I go online. I usually try to do a video every evening. It's usually between 11 p.m. and midnight Central Time here in the United States because I'm Late Night Lori and that's just how I roll. That's kind of when it works for me. So the house is quiet by that time and sometimes I can be a little more creative. So thanks for popping in. Until next time, happy crafting.